Gabby, I love you.
Purple Haze. Hi, how are you? Oh my god.
What's going on, Gabby?
I'm interviewing you, so hey, everything's going well. So hey, where are you from?
I was born in New Orleans, but I lived in a few different places. Atlanta, that's actually where I started training. I lived in New Orleans for a while, and I'm back. So,
Training in Atlanta. Like, tell me about that. How was that experience?
it was cool. The school that I went to was called WWA4. It was run by Mr. Hughes, Total Protection. Mr. Hughes, uh, he came up during the late 80s and 90s with AWA, WWF at the time, WCW, ECW. So he wrestled for all the big companies during the 90s and the 80s. And my first time meeting him was in 2007. And I just remember this big guy walking through the door, uh, shook his hand. He said, get in the ring. And the rest is history.
So 2007, you started training.
Right after high school. Most people go to college, and I went to wrestling school.
So how long did you live in Atlanta?
About 6, 7 years. uh, 6, 7 years. So it's a long story, long story. But after I finished training in Atlanta, I came back down to New Orleans, uh, and I hooked up with a group down here, and I stayed down here for a while. I should have stayed in Atlanta, but I had a great experience down here too. So I enjoyed my life. I enjoyed my career. So everything's good.
So what are some differences in Atlanta versus Louisiana? Well, Atlanta versus New Orleans. I don't know if you really compare that or Georgia versus Louisiana.
Well, for sure, Atlanta and the state of Georgia has more opportunity, than New Orleans and Louisiana has way more opportunity. Uh, Atlanta, you had a little bit of everybody from all over the United States, and that was the beauty of it because I've created friends, during that time that I still talk to today that came down the train. And a lot of those guys were from different countries or they were from different states throughout the country. Atlanta was this hub for everybody to come to and trying to grow. At the time, Atlanta was growing. You can get a house out there for $100,000, $200,000. Compared to anywhere else, Atlanta was just trying to bring people down, to grow their city. Now it's one of the biggest cities in America. It's kind of hard to find a house out there for 200,000. For the size for like a 4 bedroom, home. It's kind of hard to find a house, like that now. But a lot of people uh that made it, not just in the wrestling industry, but just in entertainment. Period. They live in Atlanta, so Atlanta was definitely the place, and it probably still is the place to go to. So it was a good time.
I just love to know like how everything's just different from Louisiana. Like the training. I know it was 2007. It was long. It was a long time. I'm pretty sure things have changed drastically since then in Atlanta with training. But any like key takeaways that
You about to open up a can of worms. you know I'm gonna just say this. I'm happy I'm happy I was trained in Atlanta than Louisiana. I'm gonna just say that, and I appreciate Louisiana, but the stuff that I learned in Atlanta, I don't think I would have learned down here, and the experiences I had in Atlanta, I don't think I would have had down here. I was dealing with guys, a lot of guys that I trained with in Atlanta. They're all signed to WWE, AEW. Some guys went to Japan. So a lot of those guys, man, those guys were hungry. And uh, Jonathan Gresham, I always bring up Jonathan Gresham. Jonathan Gresham, he's married to Jordan Grace, and who's with NXT right now. And Jonathan Gresham took me under his wing, when I lived out there, and he took me places. you know, and he taught me things. So I appreciate everything that I mean, I had some good times in Atlanta. I'm not gonna even lie. You know, the school was connected to a strip club. You know, the only thing dividing the school from the strip club was a wall. You know, so it was a great time. I had a great time. Oh, but you asked me about the training. Uh, the way Mr. Hughes, you know, set up his training, he would get in the ring. He would sit in his chair in the corner of the ring. He would have his notes. He had like a manila folder, and he would have all his notes, you know, from throughout the years that he's been in the business, and he would go over old school, you know, moves, just to get that psychology into your head. Um, he would go over old school terms, you know, to get that into your head because he don't want you to be out there on the road, you know, clueless as to what's happening around you, clueless as to what's being said around you. So he definitely, you know, uh, you know, taught us, you know, what we need to be taught, you know. So I talk to him, you know, from time to time. You know, we're still cool. So those times were like some of the best times of my career and probably my life. You know, I had a good time.
Where did the name Purple Haze come from?
All right. So sometimes I tell people that Jimi Hendrix is my uncle, and most of the time they believe me. Jimi Hendrix is the guy. He was a guitarist back in the 50s and the 60s. You heard of him?
I know who Jimi Hendrix is. I'm not that young.
I was just making sure. Yeah, yeah. But Jimi Hendrix, he was a black rock star, and when I came back down to Louisiana, uh, I was wrestling with this company called Old School Wrestling Entertainment, and the guy by the name of Mardi Gras, he asked me, you know, what do you want your gimmick to be? And I guess I was trying to be the opposite of John Cena because John Cena was the white rapper. So I said, let me be the black, you know, rock star. So we're thinking, and he's like, Jimi Hendrix, Purple Haze. And I was like, all right, that's cool. And it stuck. It stuck with a lot of people, you know, it stuck with a lot of people. People call me Purple Haze on the street, you know, when I'm walking. They might not know my real name, but they definitely know my wrestling name. So, and purple is a cool color.
I guess that's why you click so well with Big Ramp Enterprises and Hunter Law. You know, y'all have that in common, that rocker, you know.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You know, two worlds collide. You know, we gel. They say opposites attract. So that's definitely what's going on right there. You know, that's definitely what's going on.
Like, so what is your role in Big Ramp Enterprises?
Because I've been around for about 17, 18 years. So I'm more of the experienced guy. And I think I put a beat down on whoever is in the ring. So I bring it, you know, we got Hunter. He does his thing. You know, he's quick, he's light on his feet, he has a nice hair, you know, everybody loves it, you know, so he brings that, you know, and I bring the beat down, you know what I mean? I bring the beat down and ramp is on outside the ring, you know, messing with the fans, you know, getting underneath their skin. So he does that part. So like I said, you know, we bring all that together. You know, that's it's like a Long Island. Gil brings that wisdom. Gil brings the wisdom. You know, he's been in the game for a long time too, and Gil has the muscle. He has the he brings more of a beat down than me. You know, it's like it's like the daughter. You don't like you see my brother can beat you up, but if you meet my daddy gonna kill you.
And y'all just added another member, Ryan Awesome.
Ramp scouted him. You know, he's the money guy. You know, so we'll see, you know, where this goes, you know, but the more the merrier.
So what do you like to do outside of wrestling?
Well, since I had a son in 2019, I've been spending a lot of my time with him. I've been bringing him on the road, you know, taking him out of town, you know, for him to experience the stuff that I experienced, you know, through wrestling. Uh, you know, in July, we're going to California. We're going to Anaheim and San Francisco and Dallas. So he's gonna have a pretty busy summer. But I like to just when I'm not with him, I just like spending time by myself. You know, I like spending time by myself. You know, to try to clear my mind. You know, and think of new ideas. I edit videos. You know, for my own enjoyment. You know, I do stuff like that. You know, to kind of keep my creative juices flowing. And then sometimes I'll post them to social media. You know, just to kind of give people insight on what's going on in my brain. You know, so that's pretty much what I do. You know, so I'm a pretty simple person.
Is your son a wrestling fan?
He was when he first started coming to the show. Uh, he doesn't really know the gist of it. He's been to maybe 4 or 5 shows, and from the shows that he's come to, he enjoys it. And when we're at home, he's like body slam, and he wants to body slam him and stuff like that. But uh, I'm not gonna push it on him. But if he gravitates towards it, then I'll be happy.
I'm going to ask you a speed round of questions, okay?
Speed round.
Yes.
All right, let me see if I can get my brain ready. All right, let's go.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Do you have a dog?
I had dogs. All of them died.
Oh, I'm sorry. Favorite holiday?
Uh, I have two: Christmas and Mardi Gras.
Favorite food?
Buffalo wings, hot wings,
Favorite color?
blue and purple.
Always got you. And I always love to ask this question. Favorite wrestlers?
Junkyard Dog. Uh, I'm trying to pull something from the '80s. Uh, Rock and Roll Express. Um, how many you need? I like Kamala, because I missed that era of wrestling where you had characters, and wrestling now doesn't have characters like they used to. They might develop a character, but that person that's portraying that character is not going to keep that character alive. It's like you see that character on TV, but once you get behind, like once you see them on the street or whatnot, it's just a regular person. You know, the guys from back in the day, they kept that character alive, whether you saw him in the ring or whether you saw him at the grocery store. You know, that's what I miss. So I'm gonna say this: any wrestlers you know, from 2010 on down, I appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate because they just brought something different, to the game that guys now are not bringing.
Do you think it's because of just the times changing, or like how kind of kayfabe is kind of has died a
Yeah.
little bit?
Kayfabe has died. Uh, People are getting too comfortable. The wrestling business is oversaturated with people. Uh, so people that are getting into the business are exposing the business. Uh, you know, um, Social media plays a part in that. So it's different factors, you know that adds to why wrestling is the way it is right now. Even though like WWE wrestling is bigger now than it was back in the day, but you know, back in the day, people believed in wrestling. People, whether you was a little kid or you was an older person, you believed in it. You know, People now they just look at it, for what it is. They don't talk about it. They only talk about the drama that's going on behind the scenes because the behind the scenes drama is more real than the on screen drama. If that makes any sense.
I get it.
I just missed the old days. and I'm not even that old. I'm only 36 years old. So, but I grew up on that that style of wrestling. I've been in the business for 18 years. It wasn't easy. Uh, there was a lot of struggles, a lot of ups and downs. You know, I messed up two cars. You know, traveling up and down the road. You know, to do shows. Wrestling taught me about life and taught me about you know, people's emotion, human nature, and stuff like that. I think I got a few years left. You know, I'm gonna do what I do, and I'm gonna keep enjoying what I do until it's over.
Do you want to get into the stories of how you messed up two cars?
All right, so the first car, I wasn't responsible. You know, I was getting an oil change late. You know, it was crap like that. Wasn't changing the tires. Or the brakes. And I was just wearing it down. Just traveling up and down the road. I'm talking. Look, I was driving from Atlanta, to New Orleans, to New Orleans, to New York City, from New York City to Springfield, Illinois. From Spring, I was all over the freaking country, all over the freaking country. You know, and you just put wear and tear on your cars. Like with wrestling, you know, you you're not to save money. You're not really flying. Taking airlines unless you're going, super far. But people that's in the wrestling business, they know what I'm talking about. My first car was my first. I had a truck. I had a 2005 Ford Sport Track, and that sucker, it was a good truck. I mean, I had some good times in that. Oh, it was good times in that baby. You know. And then my second car was a 2016 uh, Chrysler 200, and burned that out. Now I got a 2022 Chevrolet, so I love that truck. That's the big dog right there. And that's a big boy, you know.
How long was so you were driving from New Orleans to New York?
Yeah,
How long is that drive?
it takes a day. It takes a day to get there, a day and a couple of hours. It's just like going to California because I drove to California too. So you stop along the way, obviously, but you would get out there, you would do a show, and then you have to come right back down to the city. When I lived in Atlanta, I used to ride with Jonathan Grisham, and I feel bad now because he would do all the driving. And I remember one time he was driving and he was getting real sleepy, but I didn't want to drive nobody's car. I mean, now that I've been in the business for a while, I'm like, all right, you got to take turns driving, you got to help the other guy out. But I was green at the time. I let him drive his car. One time he had rock music in his ears the whole ride, from Philadelphia all the way back down to Atlanta. We got stopped by state troopers a couple of times because he was driving like 100 miles per hour, and they asked the question, why are we driving so fast? And he'll tell them, look, I'm sleepy, I'm trying to get back home. You know, uh, he told them we were wrestlers, and that was the magic word because they let us go. They said, all right, be careful, you know, uh, try to stay underneath the speed limit, and boom, let us go on our way. No ticket. We got stopped by two or three state troopers in each state on the way back to Atlanta. Because I never told him this. Jonathan Grisham, if you're watching this, I apologize, man. I should have helped you drive. I think he had a Lexus at the time. He had a 1995 Lexus, and man, I'm sorry, man. I should help you drive. You know, if we're on the road again, I got you. I'm driving. All right.
I'll clip that part and I'll tag him in it. Jonathan Grisham, Purple Haze has a message for you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I felt bad, man.